The Nintendo 3DS is a system that has succeeded despite the fact a large portion of its user base tends to overlook its signature selling point. That's hardly a surprise given its glasses-free stereoscopic 3D only offers an extremely narrow sweet spot of vision. Shift your head too far or tilt your hands, and you go from immersive 3D depth to a drunkard's double vision. All that has changed with the new 3DS. Over the past 3 years of gaming on the original 3DS, I rarely bothered to turn on the 3D functionality. In the past week that I've spent with the new 3DS, I've yet to turn it off. The new 3DS presents more of an iteration than a complete overhaul of the existing 3DS system, but that's not to say its changes aren't substantial. Some of these are small yet logical tweaks. The volume slider has been relocated to the left of the top screen, the start and select buttons have been shifted to the bottom right, and the dedicated Wi-Fi switch is gone entirely in favour of a software-based setting in the system's home menu. Elsewhere, the cartridge port, power button and stylus slot have each been moved to the bottom edge of the system, and the headphone out shifted slightly to the middle. More notable is the presence of the ZR and ZL shoulder buttons and the C-Stick, which replicate the CirclePad Pro peripherals controls. All of the back catalogue games that support the CirclePad Pro automatically work with the extra shoulder buttons and C-Stick. Yet while the ZR and ZL buttons are placed comfortably under your index fingertips and allow for a more sophisticated suite of controls, the C-Stick itself feels like a slightly inferior option to a second CirclePad. It's certainly sensitive enough to provide deft Y-axis movements for camera controls and the like, but the more I used the C-Stick, the more its rigid design and small surface area began to feel uncomfortable under my thumb. It just doesn't feel as tactile as the sliding movement radius offered by the CirclePad, and it often felt like my thumb was about to slip right off its stubby little profile. Ultimately, I found the C-Stick to be great for simple inputs like charging your smash attack in Super Smash Bros., and good enough for the sporadic camera and aiming movement in third-person games like Resident Evil Revelations. However, I'd be less keen to play anything that demanded a more constant use of the C-Stick, such as a first-person shooter. As with the old generation of Nintendo's handheld, the new 3DS is offered in both a standard size and the larger XL. Curiously, only the smaller of the two supports the new interchangeable faceplates, which might disappoint those that favour the larger screens and form factor of the XL. Still, if you do pick up the smaller unit, then the faceplates offer a nice way to personalise your system, with some 20 cover designs available at launch ranging from simple plastic patterns through to more premium wooden finishes. Whether they become compelling collectibles or fodder for the bargain bin remains to be seen. Thanks to the new head tracking camera and infrared sensor found above the main screen of the new devices, the new 3DS allows for ample head movement that only rarely breaks the 3D effect. This is especially practical if you're prone to gaming on the go, since the stereoscopic image is better equipped to allow for the bob and sway of a daily train commute, for example. And similarly, games that use the system's gyroscope for motion-based controls can now be enjoyed in a mostly stabilized 3D mode, no matter how exaggerated your movements may be. So superb is this revamped 3D mode that I've reveled in replaying games that I originally completed either entirely in 2 dimensions or with only occasional uses of the 3D. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D are just a couple of games that I've finally begun enjoying exactly as the developers intended them. These otherwise familiar experiences suddenly seem fresh. Nintendo has also endowed its new system with additional processing power under the hood. Xenoblade Chronicles, the first game to take advantage of this extra grunt, isn't set for release until sometime in 2015, so it's not currently possible to test how much of a boost the upgrade will provide in terms of the system's graphical capabilities. What is evident already, however, is how much faster the 3DS performs basic system operations. Games start up substantially quicker. Super Smash Bros. Boots to its title screen around twice as fast as it does on the old 3DS. You'll notice that reduction in loading time when accessing the eShop too, though browsing the system's online store still lags behind the shopping experience on your average smartphone. Fortunately, this extra processing power doesn't appear to come at a noticeable cost to either system's battery life, which ranges anywhere between 4 to 6 hours per charge on the new 3DS and around 4 to 7 on the new 3DS XL. On the topic of charging, the new 3DS does not come bundled with any form of charge cable, so be prepared to fork out some extra cash if you don't own one already. While 2013's 2DS may have seemed like Nintendo's admission that glasses-free 3D was a mere fad, the new 3DS sees stereoscopic vision regain its focus. Playing games in 3D is now finally the optimal way to experience Nintendo's handheld, as it always should have been. Even despite the minor gripes I have about the C-Stick, the additional controls and increased processing power set the system up nicely for the future. And if you're late to the 3DS party, you've got a back catalogue that features not just some of the best handheld games in recent years, but some of the best games full stop. For traditional gaming on the go, the new 3DS really can't be beat. For more on the new 3DS and the new 3DS XL, stick with IGN.